be European Open champion.
Yeah, anyway, Mario heater break. We've had enough controversy this week, Michael, so let's just calm down a bit.
And that's just you. Thought he finished very impressively in the semi-final earlier today. Mario he looked like he was going 9-7 up. Missed a 7-ball. Got pegged back to 8-all, but he was really impressive, actually, the way he finished out the last few racks for an 11-8 win over Joshua Filler.
Just kind of get the impression, the fact that Mario got over the line after missing that brown 7 in the lower right corner, and he closed the match out against Josh, and he's here tonight. He's had a couple hours break. I just have a feeling he'll just be relaxed, just delighted to get through that match the way he did.
He's no stranger, of course, to finals. He's been in 3 World Cup finals with Austria, won 2 of them. And if there are nerves going into a big final, this is the ideal way to settle them. Freeze your opponent out. Having break and run in is the referee.
Yeah, what's he faced with here? I think he's played the 1 and the 2. Yes, he has. So he's on the red 3. No bank shot available. So he'll probably try and run the cue ball down near the green 6. He's just looking at where the red 3 will end up. You always want to try and protect both balls when you're playing safety. Line looks good to me, and the pace looks even better. Beautiful. Welcome to the final. This is your first shot.
Spoke about the world rankings and the implications for Mario He. From Neuhausen's point of view, he's number 11 at the moment. He's going to move into the top 10 after tonight, whatever happens. And could be looking at a top 5 placing in the world if he wins this final. And that would be absolutely fair enough, Carl, wouldn't it? I think it's fair to say he probably is one of the 5 best players in the world right now.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. Said at the start of the show he ticks all the boxes. Got to be careful here. It's not an easy shot, but he could scratch in the upper right off the top of the red 3. He's
Foul.
missed it. That's how difficult the shot was.
Ball in hand.
And a golden chance for 2-0
Start
for
clock,
the
please.
Austrian.
Foul. Ball in hand.
So associated, as I was saying, with the World Cup of Pool in partnership with Alban Ocean for Austria. They won it together in 2017 and 19, and in between they were runners-up in 2018. And the last time it was played in Spain in the summer of 2023, they were one rack away from getting to the final yet again. Came from 8-4 down to take it hill-hill at 8-all against the Philippines, and then Mario he scratched off the break in the deciding rack, and
Extension called.
the Philippines sought out from there and went on to win the World Cup by defeating the Germany team, which included Moritz Neuhausen.
Yeah, this will just settle you down nicely, this. Of course, race to 13, it's a long way to go, but if we look back at last year's final, Michael, when Filler played Oi, well, he just kept going, didn't he? Ended up being a complete mismatch, the final.
Yeah, we had quite a run of them in the early part of last year. UK Open final was 13-1 as well. Premier League final was 7-0. Certainly made up for it, though, later in the year.
What do you think the best final is we've had, Michael?
Best final of any tournament. I'm not saying this is my final answer, but the one that immediately comes to mind is Al-Qaedi and Raga in this tournament 3 years ago. Actually, we've had another great final in this tournament as well. I remember the first year of it, Ocean and Van Boning, that almost went hill-hill, and there was a lot of added context that just met in the World Final. But I think maybe the one I'm going to go for is the World Masters final 2 years ago. Gorst and Filler.
All these great finals, Michael, when it's a one-rack shootout, I think, you know, the Fedor and Filler final, what you're talking about in the Masters, was brilliant, but Fedor won it with a break and run. I kind of like it when both players get a visit to the table in that last rack.
Another one we have to mention is Hanoi in 23. And Alban Ocean got off to such a good start, and Shaw just hung in and hung in and hung in and eventually got it done, and the amazing atmosphere.
Yeah, that was a good final. I think Shaw did break and run in that final rack as well, if my memory serves me right. Anyway, while we reminisce, this is the table layout.
Push out called.
Seems like all those finals we're talking about have been within the last few years as well, and it just underlines how much we've been treated. You think back further, Wu Cha-Ching winning the World Championship over 20 years ago now, winning all those racks at the end at 16 years of age.
Yeah, I remember watching that. It was nothing to do with the American pool game, but as you said, that was pretty special as well. Phenomenal player, Wu Cha-Ching, really was. It was great to have him in Spain that week when this man at the table got to the final of the World Cup of Pool with Joshua Filler. Muchachin played. Still looked unbelievable as well, he did. Didn't look an easy shot, that. Actually played it well.
I think that World Cup was huge for Neuhausen. He was only 19 years of age at the time, and Joshua Filler sort of guided him through it, and you could see Neuhausen was growing in belief as it went on. They put up a good fight in the final against the Philippines.
Extension called.
You beat him, of course, didn't you, in the World Championship? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Forgot about that. That was the one just after COVID, and
Yeah, it was still behind closed doors at that stage.
yeah, and you know what was crazy? Obviously, I wasn't playing in the event. I'd gone there to commentate, and Eklund Catchy couldn't make it at the last second, so I basically took Eklund's spot in the tournament, and I qualified. I think I drew Neuhausen in the single elim and beat him. He was probably about 15 back then, though.
He was 17 at the time.
I'll mention that to him after this final, I think, yeah. Well remembered. And of course, he's come on leaps and bounds since then. He's
Foul.
an all-round. Okay, foul, we couldn't see it, so the referee's right on it. Clearly touched the ball or something.
Ball in hand.
Now, does this 3 go? Can he put it somewhere where it pops?
Start the clock, please.
No, he can't, so he's playing the lock-up safety, and I'm interested to see where he puts this red 3. Probably wants to keep it in the middle of the table somewhere. Yeah, you see how it's bouncing off the rail? That just means you're leaving a gap for the cue ball to go around.
Ooh, he's made the hit.
Foul.
Yeah, and the 3 just didn't quite get to the rail.
Mario, you have 2 fouls. Ball in hand. Start the clock, please.
Amazing how it just stopped short of the rail. After contact, a ball must strike a rail or go in the pocket. Even when you're hooked.
It's funny with, you know, rails in pool and cushions in snooker. Initially, when cue sports began, they were just there to stop the balls falling off the table, and they've become such an integral part of cue sports. So this should be a first rack on the board for the German. Been well accustomed to playing in finals of various sorts, as I've said, over the last year or so. So job more or less done. Chalk placed on one of the diamonds as ever.
Yeah, he has his own sort of quirky routine, doesn't this? Just looks like a formality, but he's looking at something.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there.
Moritz Neuhausen.
And he will be very happy with it.
Yeah, there you can see how straight he is on the blue too. So he'll probably just stun this in and go forward a couple of inches. Yeah, so levelling out. Yeah, he's going to try and come round the back of the 8. Can't really blame him. It's a funny old thing he does with that piece of chalk, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically become his routine, and it's like he's sending a mental signal to himself that, okay, it's time to shoot now. And since he started doing it, he's been getting plenty of good results, so absolutely no reason to change it.
Yeah, nice gap found there.
He's unusual in many ways among professional sports people, and I mean this in a really good way. And very often people who play a particular sport full time, they become completely consumed with it and don't really notice anything else that's going on in the world around them. But you sit with Moritz for a while, he can talk about all kinds of things.
Well, last night, you know, after all the play had finished, I went back to the hotel and Neuhausen was in the restaurant. And I was sat really close to him and I heard him in a conversation. He were telling his friend, and I think it was Sebastianov as well. Yeah, he were telling Sebastianov about his practice routine. He said he plays for 30 minutes and stops, has a break, then goes back, because he said he was reading a book and it's something to do with that's how you learn the best, doing something for 30 minutes. That's how deep he goes into this. I'd love to see the old footage of the World Cup of pool between him and Filler, just to see if he was doing that with the chalk back then.
No, I think it's a much more recent thing than that. So, Mario he has already had a break and run in this final. Neuhausen a couple of balls away from one of his own.
Yeah, a little bit like Feder Ghost, he really likes to look down the line of the path the ball is going to take. Almost like helps him see it or feel it from when he gets down on it. Yep, this is good enough. He's going to tie this final up. Of course, we all want a close final, don't we? We don't want it to be a runaway. I mean, look at this. What's he doing here? Looks like he's going to kick a rugby ball or something.
No. 9 ball.
Ball has gone. No poke at the blue 2.
Push out called.
How do you see this one, Carl?
Well, not easy, but obviously they're a lot better than me, and there's a bit of distance. He's queuing off the rail. Yeah, it looks like he's trying to bump it up towards the 8. Got to be careful with the cue ball here. It's easy to let this 2 ball peep out as well.
As I was saying earlier, it's the first all-European final that we've had in the European Open. There's always been a European winner. And tonight, either Austria or Germany will be the first country to have claimed this title on multiple occasions.
That'll work. Yeah, the push and then the safety from Neuhausen, even though he got the hook,
Extension called.
obviously at this level, he was always going to hit the kick shot. Okay, drawing a little map for us. Be happy with that. Whenever you don't leave a pot or an easy pot, you're delighted.
Extension called.
There's always one extension per player per rack. Just gives you an extra 30 seconds to think things over. You also try and use the brown as well here, not just the pink, in case it peeps out, which it has.
You've played in some big finals, Carl, the World Cup, the US Open. When you're playing in a final, is it possible at all to get that out of your head, or is every moment of it permeated by the knowledge that this is it, this is what it's all been leading to?
I think in some ways you're a little bit more relaxed. You feel like, you know, you've been here all week and you've battled through and you've made the final. You've obviously pocketed some dollars as well, which is never easy in the pool world. It's not like we're playing for millions. Obviously both of these guys are going to bank a nice little check. And then I suppose it's what you've achieved in the game already. Someone like Mario, you just get the impression if he can win one of these titles, he's just going to relax, isn't he? You know, you're not going to talk about it anymore. It's all going to be, oh, Mario, he European Open champion, and obviously he can look forward to the rest of the season as well. Try and kick on for that. He's never played in a Mosconi Cup, and of course Reyes Cup now is on the calendar. That's the big thing with European players, isn't it? You know, there's so much emphasis on have you played in the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, I think at the start of the year, when we were maybe having conversations about who might be the next player to break into the European team for the first time, I don't think Mario He was being talked about at all. He was seen maybe as someone who had perhaps had his best days. I know Jeremy, though, who'll be along for the second part of the final, has been talking up Mario He quite a lot recently and saying that there was still a good bit more to come from him. Neuhausen was one of two newcomers on the European team in December. Piers Labutus the other. They teamed up together for a doubles win on the opening night.
No one's getting an easy look at a pot of the minute. Possible Karen the Brown 7 in here. He's having a go. Yeah, nice. Gives himself a look, this.
Became very scrappy for most of the way in his semi-final earlier against Joshua Filler. It really was surprising to see some of the fairly elementary mistakes that Filler made. His best spell really came right at the end.
Smart play there, using the cannon off the pink just to get down here, just to give himself a look, give himself a shot. Yeah, this ball is sort of going in between the green and the purple off that rail. I don't think he's going near the purple, so he's got to judge the pace here on this one. This could get away from him. Look how soft he's got to hit it. Looks good. Yep, take that. I would say he's definitely got the best pool shirt in the tournament.
Mm.
This all came from that Karam knocking the 7 in with a cue ball. It's a shot you want to practice as well because they come up quite a lot. Looking good here, Mario, I have to say. We're 5 racks in, Michael, and I think he's definitely up for this final.
Yeah, so far seems to be playing better than he did for most of that semi-final earlier. In a sense, though, picking up where he left off because, as I said, he finished strongly this afternoon. And it looked as though it might be another big semi-final slipping away from him. So Moritz Neuhausen. First dry break from either player in this final, and he's left a shot at the one. But where can Neuhausen really go with this?
Yeah, we've seen the replay of the break. It's whenever you hit it a bit too thin, the cue ball comes low on the long rail, doesn't come parallel across, and balls want to just stay down bottom end of the table. And he's not got a great deal of angle here, and you can only really go forward with a cue ball. So I don't know if he's going to power this in, or is he going to try and play the bank and get the cue ball out of the way? And it's the bank, cue ball out of the way. Mr. Heat might be tempted with a little cutback here. Here he is having a nosy.
Mario He's best run in one of these big matchroom events last year was to get to the last 16 of the World Championship, and along the way he actually defeated Neuhausen.
Foul.
I'm going to say I thought I just seen the green move ever so slightly.
Ball in hand. Start clock, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the referee was all over that one.
He's had a few calls to make already on his big night. Almudin Hodzic. Okay, so he's been a couple of racks in front already, once in this final. Here's his chance to get back to that situation.
Yeah, not happy with it. Funny, really, when you look at it, you think he's all right, don't you? I presume he's dead straight. Yeah, he's going to draw back now because of that. Once it's off the rail, may not matter if you can go forward and then just bounce off the rail, come near the green ball, kind of just below it, back out into centre is fine. It's a nice view, isn't it, of the shot. There's an upper level just behind them couple of rows. There's a good few people there as well.
As I said, his only really extended run in one of these big field matchroom events last year was at the World Championship, but he won a lot of matches during 2025 in these tournaments. Last 32 of the UK and in Florida and in the Philippines. Talked about how dialed in Neuhausen looks, Carl, but I don't know about you, but it feels like Mario He's got an extra level of intensity there tonight as well.
Yeah, listen, Mario He, as I said, and I've said before, he's beat everyone in the sport. He's won European Tour events, he's won European Championship events.
Attention called.
I'm sure he's won plenty of other tournaments that sometimes the pool rooms stage as well, and of course World Cup of Pool with Albin. You know, if you can win that tournament with your buddy where you're only getting a shot each, and you kind of feel guilty if you miss a ball because you're letting somebody else down, not just yourself. You just always felt it's kind of like, when's he going to win one? Because he's got the game, no doubt about it. Lost the cue ball a little bit there. So he's going to have to cue another good one here. He's got to get into this now. nice. Spun it round off the 3 with running English. A really tidy shot that, and it's a shot that can make you feel like you're cueing good.
Came up
You
dry.
never know what the table is going to give you after the break.
That's why I love these longer races. You know, if you're going to have a bit of fortune here and there in terms of the layout of the balls, the more racks you have, the more chance there is for that to even out.
Yeah, and at this level, this is why I am a big fan of winner breaks. I know that has been debated over the years. Some people love it, some people hate it. But I just think if you're quite far behind in a match and you can put a bit of a package together, just adds that little element. You might chip off this ball, leave the 2 to the left-hand side rail, try and use that 9 or the red 3 for cover. If he does play this shot, you've got to make sure you get that cue ball to the right-hand side, because even if you don't get the hook, you're leaving a brutal pot. Yeah, you see how he's got it to the right? I think he's nailed it as well. So he's got the hook. Yeah, he's feeling good out there at the minute. It's all going nicely. Just trying to make something happen here. He's in a world of trouble, and obviously using the short cue. Going for the pot was obviously a low percentage, but he was forced into something crazy, and he's left Mario a little thin cut here. Yeah, you've just got to try and find that gap below right centre pocket. That gap there.
We're getting a lot of new finalists at the moment, aren't we, in these major individual events. Got Mario He tonight, Sebastianov in the Philippines, and then Neuhausen and Labutis just before that in the Hanoi Open.
Yeah, and it's them players where, you know, if we look at the world champions and the US Open champions, and then of course the Open major winners, it's that next bracket just below where they've not managed to win a Worlds, a US Open, which are, for me, are the big 2 tournaments on the circuit. And it's just seeing who breaks through from that next pack. Obviously Labutis in Hanoi.
Well, he's not really put a foot wrong yet.
No, he hasn't. It's been absolutely clinical. Everything. Even potting the ball, nothing's sort of fell where you feel like you've not cued it nice. It's just all been sweet, this.
Big test, of course, comes when you get to around 10 or 11, and it's within touching distance then, and getting over the line is, as we always say, quite a challenge. But there's a huge difference between trying to get across that line when you're only a rack or 2 in front and trying to do it when you've got a bit of a cushion. So if you can press on from here, you can really make that barrier
The great
a lot less
4.
daunting.
I've got one more pick. I'm sure I forgot somebody very obvious. Oh, yeah, I'll go with Eklund Kaji. Yeah, good luck America as well, if that's the team.
Well, after the next rack, you'll be naming the US side.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay.
Well, just keeps looking better and better for Mario He and Neuhausen. Maybe having flashbacks to Hanoi in October, and there was just a spell in the match where, as I said, like tonight, he probably went in as the favourite. But just basically had to sit it out for a few racks while his opponent really took control of things, and he is getting into a similar groove here in Sarajevo tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know Neuhausen cued that 9 ball a little across it and it wobbled, but it still fell in, but he's just been froze out, hasn't he? Even when he's come out of a couple of the hooks. Oh, okay. Is this a turning point? Is he on it? I think he's just still on it. Did get away from him a little bit though, didn't it? The cue ball there. Hit that really good. You can see how hard he had to hit that to get the ball over, and it comes to rest. Well, obviously he's not straight on this because he just rolled through, so he's got a bit of an angle, so he's going to push through the 9. Lovely.
He's really starting to run away with this now. Couldn't have asked any more of himself in terms of the performance he's put in over these first 8 racks.
Queue out for 3 or 4 events.
6 of which,
you know, really kind of like make a name for himself for the team, really, even though it's still quite early on in the season, but it's going to be an interesting 4 weeks.
you went for Bergman, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did
he's
say Bergman.
Talking about getting back onto the scene. Has Atencio become eligible yet? Or is that still in the pipeline?
Well, I hope so. I've just picked him, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
I know there's been talk of it. And of course, Torsten Homan now is representing the US, so he's in the picture.
maybe I should have said Jeremy Jones.
Sure, he'd still be more than capable of doing a job. So long as he knows the shot clock rules this time.
Oh, he really went there.
Well, he's sitting behind us having a pizza, so didn't want to miss the chance. And Mario He has not missed anything much at all here in this final, and it's becoming a bit reminiscent now of Aloysius Japp in the UK Open final last year, going in, trying to win his first major title, and just came out of the trap so quickly.
Extension called.
Woodward didn't play too clever in the Mosconi Cup as well, did he? So thing with Skylar is obviously he was captain. You just feel like he needs somebody else to do that job, and kind of feel like he can take care of his own game because he's had some good cups, hasn't he? You know, he has performed in that arena.
Yeah, well, you consider the US have won, what is it now, 2 out of the last 16. He was MVP in both of those.
Yeah, I think this is a subject we should get ourselves off as well, Michael. Enough grief for 1 week. Big shot coming up here. Is he going to pound it in a couple of rails and back out in between the 9 and the 7, or is he going to settle for distance? Centre of the table with a cue ball. That's fine as well. Kind of forgetting there's somebody else in the final here.
Well, you wouldn't care, would you? Winning your first major title, however you did it, if you just fell over the line and it was a terrible match. But boy, this just adds to the dream scenario Mario He could be looking at after all these years, winning one of these events, playing like this. Moritz Neuhausen in a bit of agony at the moment, desperate to get to the table and get stuck into this final. But he's being kept at arm's length by this man from Austria. Who is absolutely first.
Nine ball was moving again there, and this 2 ball will go. Does a lot of distance. Obviously a tough pot, and it's not going to be easy getting on the 3. Well, this is Moritz Neuhausen. He is in this final. Just looking to see if he can squeeze the blue down the rail, not move the 8 and lay a hook. Put the cue ball touching the 8, and that would put Mario in a lot of trouble. So a lot of trouble it is. Well, you can see you can just get through that little gap in between the red and the purple on the bottom rail. You'd have to put right spin on it. That would move it towards the blue. He's playing the deliberate foul. This is of course allowed.
Foul.
He'll be fuming with this though because he's left a combo. He was just trying to leave the 8, so there was no combo, so Neuhausen will have to flick off it and play another safety, but the combo is there. And if the 8 ball is going towards the right side of the pocket, you want to hit the object ball on the other side of the combo. Turns it over. Yeah, big wreck for Neuhausen here now. Just needs one good shot to get on the pink 4. Centre of the table should get the job done.
He would have made a good traffic cop.
Extension called.
Yeah, maybe when the pool career's over.
That's Mario He in the driving seat at the moment. So much pressure on Neuhausen, 7-2 down, and seeing how his opponent's playing, he knows if he makes one wrong move, could be sitting down for a few racks.
Yeah, look at this. If he's jacked up over the 9, it's incredible. That how many times does that happen when you're down? It doesn't happen when you're winning, that. But because he needs racks and he's 5 behind, look, he's got to go over the 9. What a crazy game at times. Yeah, really nice shot, that. Good draw shot. Bit of distance though, so he's got to knock a ball in.
As I said, the pressure's on him here, and these can be missed. And the position he's in, he can't afford to do that, so it's not right this rack off just yet. Should be his now, though, and boy, did he need it. From 2-0 down, he levelled at 2-all, then lost all of the next 5 as he really moved through the gears.
Yeah, he just had that little bit of help from Mario when he set the combo up on the deliberate foul, but it was the good kick shot to put Mario in the snooker. This is... I need to ask him what he's doing here on these 9s. He's obviously visualising something, but it just looks like a standard pot, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can overthink things.
That. I think that affected Kazakis a little bit as well, to be honest. Watch out, cue ball. Oh, it's at the point. Needs a bit of help. And I don't think that's the help. Well, he's not down yet, is he? So there's obviously an issue. So it must be tied to the first thought. He might have to play with a bit of spin or jump over the edge. He's levelled out with his cue, but he'll probably play this with left English. Yeah, turned it over, but he turned it over too much. Okay, first real mistake, but it wasn't easy what he was attempting.
Yeah, it could have turned out worse for him.
Yeah, there you see, you have to put spin on this, and just turned the object ball over too much, that was all. This is a department where Neuhausen is pretty rock solid. Safety, it's very good. Got to see a lot of that in the Premier League pools just because they play only matches, don't they? You know, afternoon session, evening session, races to 5s, often playing 3 or 4 matches a day, and obviously when you're in the booth for that, you get to watch a player so much. And 22, is he, Neuhausen?
Yep.
So I mean, for a 22-year-old to be very adept in that department, usually they're a bit raw. You could see that with Van Berkel a little bit. I know he's 19, so he's a little bit younger, but yeah, Neuhausen just comes across to me as a bit of a student of the sport.
Foul.
Oh, Mario won't be happy with that one. As the ball's come to rest. I think the 3 still goes in lower right.
Start the clock, please.
So the key shot coming up, get on the blue 2 with an angle.
Foul.
You mentioned how well he acquitted himself on his Mosconi Cup debut just before Christmas at Alexandra Palace in North London. He was the only undefeated player that week.
Needed a bigger angle than this if he was going to play for the red 3 in the lower right. Now he's drawing back to play for it in the centre. Yeah, he's gone too much. Now is he going to play a carom? Is the carom on the 9? It's a shot that you used to see quite a lot, but seems to have vanished. I don't know if that's on, by the way. I'm just alluding to it. But this is a tricky pot in the side, this. Plus the cue ball as well. He might have to draw off it. He's going forward, so maybe the 9 is on. Pay attention to both balls.
Three's down. Not quite with the 9, though. Needs a good one here.
Yeah, I'm sure amateur pool players watching this final can appreciate just how difficult this pot is, and we've all missed these. They just feel nasty. They're a weird shot. That's why he's taking so much time over this. He's queuing off the rail. It's a steeper angle as well. Easy to overcut this. Straight in the middle of the hole.
That is absolute quality, absolute class. Battling to find a way back into a final in which he did fall 5 racks behind. If he can get it to 7-4 here, that feels a lot more manageable.
Yeah, again, especially when it's the winner break format and you've got the break. Feels easy running racks when you've had all the chances and you've got the lead. It's not easy when you've not had much table time and you've got quite a few racks to go. Well, this is why these are at the top of the game. They can do it under the gun. They can do it when things are not going their way. Neuhausen was 5-1 up against One Kwok Kwang. That went to 9-9. Both players had a few visits in the final rack as well, and in the end it was Neuhausen who knocked him in.
Okay, it all looks quite different now, doesn't it? For the second time in the final, it's
took
back-to-back
his chances in the last
racks.
couple of racks and he's got the break.
Well, that's 2 in a row, which have come up dry for him.
Yeah, it just caught the top jaw. Here's another look. And that's why it come back down the table. This might give us an idea if Mario can see a bit of it. Well, don't know. Maybe the edge, yeah. Running up towards the 3 there. Not quite worked out. You can see this. He can actually cut it in as well. Not saying he's going to go for the cut. He could bank it up off 2 rails. Yeah, remember when I was telling you, Michael, for such a young man, he's so good tactically, he really is. He's got a wonderful touch, wonderful feel with the cue ball, the object ball. It's not often he lets one leak. A lot of players might have been tempted to go for the cut there, but you knew straight away he fancied the safety, he backed himself. You know, whenever you've got a gap like this in a match, Michael, when there's 3 racks in it, it just feels a massive rack, doesn't it? Just because obviously if Neuhausen wins it, he's closed the gap to within 2, and if Mario, he can nick it, he'll go back to his chair thinking, oh, I'm back to 4 in front, this is a good gap.
One of the great Q Sports all-rounders was the Australian Eddie Charlton, who was a World Championship runner-up in both snooker and billiards and played a lot of pool as well. And I remember him saying years ago, feels like every frame is worth 2, or in this case every rack, and you know what he means.
Yeah, just rolls it in behind the pink like it's a walk in the park. A lot of good can happen here if he comes off that rail and hits this fairly full. The 9, the brown and the purple. Well, he's going for shorty. He's getting the jump cue out. He made a wonderful jump shot against Filler, didn't he, to get his first rack on the board. It's probably this kind of closeness and all. Look at this, how he's getting this popping over. That's just ridiculous. Don't scratch.
Yeah, it's going to.
Foul. Ball in hand.
Tell you what, you can get some height on that ball.
Start the clock, please.
Look at this, look how high he gets it jumping. Yeah, mighty unfortunate. That was as played, you know, trying to use them balls to lay the hook.
And Neuhausen, with ball in hand, can now really get his teeth properly into this final. Get back to only 2 behind, and all of a sudden that target of 13 might be feeling a very long way off yet for the man in that chair.
Yeah, so far it's delivered. It's been super high standard from both guys.
Excellent final so far, absolutely.
Even the safeties and the kicking, they've all been close, you know, the safeties, no one's really played anything really poor, and even the attempts coming out of the snookers and the jump shot there, it's been really good.
And I love the dynamic of it as well, the fact that neither of them has won a tournament like this before. You know, it's going to be a massive night in the life of one of them.
Still got a bit of work to do here. This rack is not over. We can't chalk it down just yet. He's got to get on the green 6. Needs the right angle on the green 6 as well. Because the 7 ball is sort of partially covered by the 9. And the 7 ball will go if you're kind of where the cue ball is now. Well, he's put a big stroke on this. How about this for a shot? How about this for a shot? Can't tell you how difficult that is. I mean, it's the only big, powerful draw shot he's played in the match, and to pull it out and nail it like that. This is the shot, though. Got to make sure you come far enough over. He's picking his point.
Extension called.
Yeah, you know it, don't you, with his facial expression. If he can go forward below it, he will, but maybe he needs a little bit more angle to do that. I don't know. He's just so worried about leaving this short and not being able to pot the ball, so he is going forward. Once it's off the rail or an angle, that's fine. "7-2 down. He was a spectator. He'd not had hardly any table time whatsoever. Just got to get this shot right. Does he go one rail all the way up the middle? Yes, he does. Just needs to slow down a bit, though. A bigger angle would have been guaranteed position. So one more good poke needed. How's the pace? How's the line? It's going to go near the rail, this. Okay, bit of a tester.
And this is for 3 in a row. It's anyone's final now.
Yeah, we saw a lot of this in the semifinal with Moritz, where the 2-ball really escaped and came away kind of on its own near the cue ball, and he put a lot of racks together and really kind of closed out Eklund in a real high-class manner.
But you know the old phrase, from small seeds do great oaks grow. How did this comeback begin? Let's not forget that. It was all innocuous. 7-2, he playing brilliantly, and then playing a deliberate foul in a horrible snooker. He somewhat clumsily knocked on a combination, a 2-8 combination. Neuhausen made it, ran, and he's won the next 2 racks as well, and all of a sudden the final has a very different complexion, all from that tiny little misjudgment.
Yeah, and sports has a funny way of doing things, giving the underdog a chance or someone trailing some type of opportunity. Is all about capitalizing when you get it.
Yeah, the mistake at the time from he was, as I say, innocuous. Carl quite correctly said he was fuming when he did it. He knew immediately the blunder he'd made. But what a change it's made. What an alteration to the match. The whole complexion of it. Very different now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing.
Extension called.
These guys both know, 7-2, of course, you don't want to be in that position, but a long race to 13, you can certainly win several games. And I think as much credit to anything as far as the man at the table, and the patience tactically is what I've seen that I was really impressed with. And not only that, just the execution behind it on some of those where some players may have been forced to do a little something else. He's stuck to the plan quite brilliantly, really. All right, just make sure you don't get near the 9. Is he trying to come 2 rails inside the 6-ball? Take a little distance on the purple.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot from Neuhausen today, yesterday in fact. He's prepared to back himself on this kind of shot. He knows technically he's good enough to knock it in, and he's also got the necessary bottle. That's the other thing with him. He's got bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you start playing the game correctly, things don't seem to bother you so much. I think a lot of players get into that kind of perfect or trying to make the game a little easier on themselves at time instead of just really kind of going with how you would normally do it. Don't let the situation really handicap what you're doing.
Yeah, chasing perfection in sport is like chasing rainbows.
Light draw stroke. And he fell straight, so he's got to draw the ball.
I was chatting with Moritz a little earlier briefly, and he was saying one thing has made all the difference. I'll tell you what that one thing is when this 9 ball goes in. It's not a matter of if, but when, i.e.
The equipment.
now.
Wow, how's that connection? The ball's just flying around. And again, the blue 2, I don't know if it's going to come clean for, yeah, pretty good bank, but saw a ton of this again in the semis. Can't imagine him not taking this shot on. I mean, he's got to kind of throw it a little bit if he's going to hold the ball with a little right spin. Could drop him behind the 8 pretty easily, though. If he turns the bank loose a little, he's got to worry about some traffic. And now he's playing safe, looks like. Thought he may bank the 2 towards the 3 and tuck him behind the 8, kind of draw down the rail. Looks like he's going to go behind the 4 and 6. This has got to go a little bit. Mario He, of course, not labeled as one of the top guys with a jump cue, but a guy who makes a lot of jumps when it matters. And obviously very good with it.
You can hide the dejection in his body language there as the blue 2 just caressed away from the cushion.
Yeah, I think he was worried about an easy jump with the ball over the pocket. Now it's more of a rail first. I don't think he can get directly at this. Maybe. Now he's looking at it. I thought it was a spin shot off the bottom rail, but evidently he's got an edge. The type of shot that, excuse me, when you're in close quarters, coming back in that position, 2 rails, not too difficult. A lot of times you're worried about the line, just you've done that part of it. You looked at it, now it's all about making the ball.
Well on his way to parity. Who would have thought that when he was 7-2 down? And it's not that he has imploded during this period at all. He hasn't had any quality table time to speak of.
Yeah, a little bit short side on the green 6, but fairly natural with just a high ball coming down the left side.
Extension called.
maybe looking at a stun out of the left corner or that draw stroke he's leaned on so much.
No real need for a gesticulation there. He was okay. Whatever happened.
Yeah, he may have to work the cue ball a little bit on the 8, but really shouldn't be a problem.
What a gutsy rearguard action this has been. He won 5 racks on the bounce. Neuhausen has
Yeah, the 2 ball has just really been his friend. Of course, you play good. You do the right things. You get a little fortune here and there, and he hit the rack well. I'm not taking anything away from that, but then also when you get these chances, you got to take full advantage, and he's certainly done so.
I like the solemnity of the occasion, the fact there's no music playing for the final. It adds to the intensity of the occasion. Because for these two, this means an awful lot. This is one of the crown jewels of the World 9-Ball Tour, the European Open. And winning it is a step into uncharted territory for both, actually.
Yeah, not necessary here, but looks like it lays real nice to maybe bump the 7 up a little bit to make things easier later in the rack. He's going to stay away from that. 6 to the 7 isn't that hard. Maybe he has to take a little distance on it later, but
Another example of how Neuhausen sensibly keeps things sensible. He doesn't do anything outlandish.
yeah, and I go back to the break shot really that's also helping that. When the timing's good, you just don't seem to get those clusters and more room to work the ball. I feel like he's picked up the pace a little bit around the table. So that's a good sign of, you know, feeling like you're kind of out there by yourself.
I fully agree with that. You know, early on, the one criticism I could have of Neuhausen, he was a little slower than normal. I thought he was overthinking. Look at the 9-ball he took an age on in the 3rd rack, which he almost missed. You can be too careful for your own good.
Yeah, you never know though with him, and you know this long race, those little things may be by design a little bit. Say I'm going to settle in. Now does he have to follow this ball? Looks like it.
Extension called.
And for me, the two upper corners have played the toughest on this table.
Well timed through the cue ball beautifully for what should be an absolute formality of a 9.
Yeah, the one's been good. Again, the two up nearing the cue ball. It's not going to be too unhappy with this. It is a bank shot, but it's a good one.
At this rate, that 2 is going to send him a frenzy request on Facebook tomorrow. Maybe even later on tonight.
I didn't even know you knew about Facebook, Phil.
Just about.
All right, I think it's kind of laying. I wouldn't say totally perfect. I think perfect it would be where he could draw the ball in position. I think he may have to follow. I'm not sure. No, he can draw. See him elevating there to pinch a little more.
This week has been divided into 2 distinct halves when it comes to banking. The first 3 days, I thought the percentage rate was really low from pretty much everyone. The last 3 days, it's been excellent again.
Yeah, I think the guys try to, figure the table out a little too much with some of that early, anticipating maybe more slide. We saw most of the banks pretty short. I think overall it was a constant similar miss. Yeah, just nothing too extreme here on the purple with the 6 near and the 7.
You know, it would be assumed by many that the greatest feeling for a sportsman at this level would be to lift a trophy, hoist silverware, as they say. In my experience, talking to so many of them over the years, the greatest feeling is when you've been playing badly and suddenly you're playing well again. It's a mixture of euphoria and relief, and I think that's what Neuhausen is experiencing right now. Went through a short but unproductive spell
Extension called.
in the new year. Now he's back to his best.
Well, I think those other events, like the POP where I was talking to him about that, it's just he wants to win so badly. So it was frustrating more than anything. We can all say he wasn't off his game. And I think we all know he's in stroke and all the tools he has, and just don't feel like it was falling off because of him as much as just trying to get used to that equipment.
Yeah, and the other common bond that all of the leading players have, not just skill, but abundant nerve. And it seems to me as though Neuhausen is Mr. Cool. He certainly was at the Moscone Cup, an alien environment, intimidating environment. He coped with it as though it was nothing. And if he were to prevail tonight, he would be well on the way to a return to represent Europe at the Carib Royale Resort at the end of November in this year's Moscone Cup. 40,000 ranking points goes quite a way.
Yeah, and he's not going to be a guy that's going to get shut out. It's hard to win out here, but he's going to be down in those final 16s, you would figure, many times this year with so many big events to come. And I'll tell you another credit Really just a simple pull. That's how effective that is. Don't overthink it. Caught that one a little thin, but again, things are going the right way, and he's playing beautifully. Another good shot on the blue, too. The 5 and the 6 are a little tied up, but the pink right next to it.
His relationship with that 2 is turning into a bromance.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen that a few times. Gorse did that in a few tournaments to where, of course, when you break the balls great, you have a better chance. You notice he puts the hands in the pocket. Almost feel like he's about to pull out some rosin, like a tennis player like Yvonne Lendl used to back in the day. But all he is he uses a wet towel. I mean, he's just drying his hands. Doesn't have to do much here. The natural angle will be just fine.
When you're commandeering the table like this, even in practice, it's hard to sustain concentration. So we're waiting for a mistake from Neuhausen, but as yet, none has surfaced.
Extension called.
Yeah, cutting it a bit fine to play that 3 ball with just a few seconds left, so decides to take the extension. I suppose it's a gamble in one sense, but the way the balls are, it's a calculated gamble. Didn't want to rush the shot.
Yeah, and he doesn't need a lot here. He can handle distance, obviously. And that's just fine. He wanted to land heavy. And, you know, when we entered, you and I, for the last half of this match, you commented about that situation at 7-2, and even though to many it didn't seem like much, but Mario, he was very upset about the situation that happened and kind of got Moritz off the ground. And I think because these guys are starting to realize what this guy can do as far as putting a lot of racks together.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, basically at 7-2, there was a tactical exchange. Neuhausen put he in a really troublesome snooker to such an extent he played a deliberate foul shot, but the only problem was he knocked a 2-8 combination on. And it's been one-way traffic ever since.
Yeah, just in that funny angle, I think he goes forward with top and side. I was about to say you could stun as well. And if you want to learn something about moving the cue ball, when your timing's good, you always create rotation. And that's why his cue ball moves so easily. When you're a little heavy with it, cue ball tends to slide a little more and just doesn't want to move as much, and lends to a lot of missed balls.
Of course, he'd taken his extension, so as the beeps came in, that was a test of concentration.
Yeah, the 2's going to spin near the cue ball again. Don't know if he has a pocket by the 7. It is a stretch for the right-hander, but I think it does play.
Might have been helped here by the too trundling over the template. Might have taken just a hair of pace out of it. Can he get past the 7?
Yeah, he's got a couple pretty easy safety options, that's for sure. I think he's just sizing this up at the moment. Oh, he's going to go ahead and shoot it. Yeah, I was going to say, what touch? Wow. It's not so much just to get the snooker, but get right up on the brown.
That was quite a lengthy break in the action. Now in snooker, matches over the best of 9 frames or 11. There's an interval after 4 frames. There's a saying, intervals change matches, because they so often do. Momentum switches. After a few shots in this rack, you think, well, it's not switched much here.
Extension called.
Yeah, he had a foul earlier when he touched the ball. It was very early in the match. You just got to watch for that cueing and can't get much pace either. Yeah, that was always going to be difficult to get a cushion.
Foul. Ball in hand. Start the clock, please.
Good call, Jeremy. And more angst for Mario He. It's looking increasingly likely that he is not going to be the man tonight. Look at these balls, beautifully open. Just a matter of connecting the dots, if at all you can mentally do so in a final. Now, the way he's playing, we shouldn't doubt him, but there is a grain of doubt about this 5 ball. Got a lot of table to cover to get back down on the 7. Natural angle, of course, but the pot itself is no certainty.
Extension called.
Hence the extension being taken. We caught that a little thick. The heart might have skipped a beat, but it went in anyway, and the beat continues. The music keeps on playing, even though there is no music playing, if you know what I mean.
Well, the thing is, when you keep in good position and keep doing the right things, when the little bit tricky one comes up, it doesn't seem to bother you as much. So when you keep having to do it, it really becomes a problem.
This really is unrelenting excellence from Neuhausen.
2 is still, he's got to look at it to get control. Mario, it's got to be absolutely ecstatic to get back to the table, whether he's welded to a ball or not. A few safeties here in mind, of course. The 7-8 play big. The pink 4 plays pretty big as well. I feel like I would go behind the 7-8 more than the 4 here, but you're feeling it.
The 2 and 8 in close proximity in that segment of the table. Very similar to where his problems began.
Yeah, he's got to really get this one. Get down on the bottom rail behind the purple, most likely. You know, when you're feeling it, boy, it's awfully tempting to go for this shot, and he's certainly got that shot in his bag, but he's been real good to be able to say, hey, I'm playing great. I know I'm hitting the ball well, but still pull on the reins a little bit and play the safety. Now, when he sizes it up like that, that means he's going for it.
If you're on, you're on. Okay, the kiss on the 9 greatly helped, but what an exhibition of cueing that was.
Yeah, it was pure. It was like he was a foot away from the 2 ball versus 6 or 7 feet away. Just see the instant reaction on the cue ball. After it hit the 2, it didn't stutter. It immediately started backing up. Pretty smart here to come in close quarters. He knows he needs to stay on the right to hold for the purple 5. I always talk about 9-ball pool, no lead is safe, but has any match ever made you see that more? And just 2 cushions here with a rolling ball, little right spin. Caught that a little heavy to the pocket, so he's going to end up a little shy of perfect, but so smart between the ears. He'll just level out and go back and forth, take a little bit of distance on the 7, nothing major.
There, you see that meticulous placement of the Neuhausen chalk on one of the diamonds around the table. It's just superstitious. It makes him feel comfortable, so why not do it?
Yeah, it's what he says is it kind of starts his process for every shot. Wouldn't doubt we start seeing a lot of players do that. Some youngsters maybe some young Germans.
Well, he could put it on top of his head because he's a diamond.
Yeah, he's definitely been one tonight, and been one for about 6 or 8 months, it seems like. Yeah, dead center, and the speed is absolutely perfect, exactly where he pointed his cue. Now he can swing the cue ball comfortably off the brown, and has a big target area on the 8 with the 9 so accessible.
You see that with the chalk there, a little bit of the diamond was sticking out, so he had to put it over the top.
Kind of dug on that a hair more than maybe he wanted, but again, he knows how to keep it simple and just lean on maybe taking a hair distance on the 9. Is he going to pull this back for short side? I thought he might just go back and forth, but likes that little pinch of the cue ball.
Basically under the cushion, but I'd be astounded if he missed.
Yeah, one thing he's shown on these, he shoots them with a lot of confidence, and that doesn't necessarily mean a ton of speed, just very committed.
No one's more thorough on a 9 ball than him.
Not the case here. And I was going to say, I mean, I kind of feel like he'll finish it with a break and run. I mean, why not?
A mobile phone went off just on his backswing on that break, but it could not shatter this zone-like concentration.
Yeah, and he's, talk about a zone, he's got to just hit a gap here, however he wants to play it. He's been so good with the speed control because he's hit the center of the pocket so often. That's where the speed is really perfect. When you hit it to one side or the other, usually costs you on your cue ball, but hasn't been the case for the most part for this young man.
To be honest, nothing against he, but it would be entirely appropriate if he broke and ran here, because it would underline the tremendous standard he's produced.
Yeah, the speed looks good, and it's not too much either, so he can kill the cue ball nicely for the pink. And of course, this is not over yet. I mean, you still got to knock in these balls, but you feel bad for Mario a little bit, but you also feel good that I feel like he's getting his game back.
Yes, but I think he can't be too hard on himself, and I don't think he will be, because it's not the case that from 7-2 up he's cracked. He hasn't. It's just been ruthless efficiency from his opponent.
Yeah, after that mistake at 7-2, or what you might call a little bit of a mistake, I don't think he's pocketed a ball in this match since. I know he's had a couple jump shots, a couple kick shots, but I don't recall one going in. Could be wrong.
Extension called.
No, if it is 13-7, as looks increasingly likely now, it's very much a case of Neuhausen winning as opposed to he losing. Lee should not, or he should not, be too self-critical. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, and the great thing about the World 9-Ball Tour, it's not like years ago where you had to wait a long time for another event or another really good event to get at. Of course, the UK Open's our next really big one, but there's some other nice ones in between. Yeah, a little odd. Doesn't want to totally stun it.
And just on the verge of victory comes the miss. It seems almost shocking, because to that point, for a while, he was machine-like.
Yeah, and believe it or not, just it was all about the cue ball is what made it odd. Didn't want to dig on it too much, get deep in the corner. Couldn't quite roll it with spin. Just got to pay attention to the speed here. Easy to overhit this and get a little
Extension called.
too far off these two rails.
And having been kept cold for such a lengthy amount of time, this is no bargain, this pot. Yeah, given the circumstance, I'm not surprised he absolutely butchered it, but you can't really be too hard on the big man.
He could draw it one rail, could go 3 rails with a hair of inside spin. Slick table, most of the guys will draw this if they can.
Almost there. 2 balls away from taking another step to the top of the pool tree. It's delight for Deutschland in back-to-back years here in Sarajevo. And even now, giving this maximum attention. Tonight we have seen the arrival on the big stage of a man who already in the Mosconi Cup has shown his credentials and his nerve under the most acute pressure. What a performance from Moritz Neuhausen. We've seen over the years on the World 9-Ball Tour some remarkable finals. In many respects, that was right up there. Simply incredible. From 7-2 down and in deep trouble,